What's in a name? Let's talk about a question that's dividing many women today. Should a woman take her husband's last name after marriage? Some say absolutely yes. It's a sign of love and unity. Others say no way. I am not losing my identity for anyone when I get married. When I got married 25 years ago, it wasn't even a question. You take your husband's last name, full stop. It was what wives did. It was culture, tradition, even religion. But today things are changing. And women are asking, why must I change my name because I got married? So let's talk about it. Taking your husband's last name, is it a mark of love and unity, or is it quiet surrender of identity? I did some research, and in today's video, I am going to be sharing my findings on this topic. Stay with me. I promise this one will make you think differently. Hi and welcome to my channel. I am Taiye Aluko. I'm a relationship and marriage coach passionate about helping couples build happy homes. You are welcome. Today's topic is one that's causing a lot of debate, especially among young Nigerians. You know, the tradition of a woman taking her husband's last name after marriage. I'm going to be exploring in today's video the origins of this practice, what it symbolizes, the benefits and the downsides, and also what it means for identity and commitment in marriage. Okay, so let's start with where all this came from. You know, the tradition of a woman taking her husband's surname dates back centuries, mostly to Western Europe. You know, in ancient English law, there was a concept called coverture. And what that concept means is that once a woman married, her legal identity was covered by her husband. They became one legal entity, and that entity was the man. She couldn't own property, she couldn't sign contracts or vote. So taking his last name or taking his name was symbolic. It represented her becoming a part of his household. Now, when colonial influences reached Africa, those cultural and legal traditions were also adopted here. In Nigeria, it mixed with our local customs, where marriage is seen as a union of families and the woman becomes part of her husband's lineage. Now, I must state that from the religious perspective, I discovered that there is no biblical mandate that requires a woman to change her surname to her husband's after marriage. Because in biblical times, people were typically identified by their given name, their location, or their father's name, not a family surname. And so you had names like Joshua, the son of Nun, Joseph of Arimathea, Saul of Tarsus, Simon of Cyrene, Elijah the Tishbite from Tishbe, and even Jesus of Nazareth. Now, also in Islam, it's not a requirement for a woman to change her surname after marriage. So it's not a religious requirement. So what then does a name change symbolize? At its core, taking your husband's name symbolizes unity, two becoming one. It's a public declaration that we are now one, we are now a new family. It's also a declaration of commitment, a sign of two individuals choosing to become one in the journey of life. Now, for couples, especially for their future children, sharing a single surname can create a strong sense of belonging and togetherness. And then the scripture that says, a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and the two become one flesh. It's also symbolic of, adhering to that scripture. It symbolizes the becoming of one flesh. And it could also be said to be a declaration of submission to the headship of her husband by the woman. Now, here is the tension area. Modern women are saying, must becoming one mean losing myself? A name is not just a word, it carries identity, history, legacy. Now, women from prominent families in particular may struggle with name change, especially if their maiden name opens doors and carries weight. Also, for a woman who has built a career, reputation, or brand in her maiden name, changing it can feel like losing brand equity or erasing part of her story. So let's look at the actual benefits of a name change. The first is symbolic unity. It strongly symbolizes the creation of a new family unit with shared commitment. The second is social recognition. In our society, it often serves as an unmistakable sign of being married, which can simplify social interaction, and it still does afford a certain measure of respect. The third is family cohesion. It provides a shared identity for the couple. It makes family identification easier, especially when you have children. The fourth is shared identity. Having the same last name makes things easier, particularly in the area of documentation, getting visas, if you want to change immigration status, and things like that. Everybody will know that you are one family just by the name. Then the fifth is cultural and religious acceptance. In many communities, it's still seen as the honorable thing to do. And not doing it can be misunderstood as pride or rebellion. The sixth is emotional bonding. For some couples, it deepens a sense of belonging, especially when both parties value that symbolism. The seventh is, for faith-based couples, it can reflect obedience to the biblical principle of one flesh. Now, let me share the concerns around name change and why some women feel a name change is not necessary. Professional identity. Many women have built careers and reputations around their maiden names and wish to maintain that continuity. For that reason, they don't want to change their names, because changing names can affect their professional identity, especially if they're a public figure. Then modern realities is another reason. Whether we like it or not, we're in a global world where identity is fluid and people are more conscious of purpose, legacy, branding, and individuality. Then you have personal identity, and that's about holding on a fundamental part of who you are. Women fear disappearing into just being identified as wife of, mother to, particularly in Africa, where after a woman marries, she becomes wife of. And once she has children, she becomes mommy this, mommy that. So there's the fear of losing themselves. Then you have the administrative hassle. The legal process of changing your name on documents is a significant undertaking. Consider your passport, your BVN, your NIN if you're in Nigeria, and all other documentation. Then there's also the fact that many say it's not even a legal requirement, because neither the Marriage Act or the Matrimonial Causes Act mandates for a woman to have her name changed after marriage. Okay, so let's look at a faith-based perspective. that is hopeful and unifying. Now, the core of Christian marriage, for instance, is two becoming one. This oneness is spiritual. It is rooted in love and mutual respect. The Bible emphasizes mutual submission and love in marriage. So the real commitment is shown in shared values, shared vision, togetherness, fidelity, loyalty, your daily actions, trust, and how you support each other. A name change is an outward symbol of that inner commitment, but the symbol is not the substance. A name change is good, but what is better is a genuine commitment and intentional, sustained effort to make your marriage work. What matters is whether you are both committed to becoming one in purpose, not just in paperwork. I will say that there is no one-size-fits-all answer to this question of what's in a name. But what is beautiful is that today you have the freedom and the space to have this conversation, to make a decision that strengthens your union rather than following a path blindly. And so, what do you think? Is taking your husband's last name a non-negotiable tradition? Is it a personal choice? Or is it something in between? I'd love to hear your respectful and thoughtful opinions in the comments below. Let's keep this conversation kind and enlightening. And if you are a couple preparing for marriage, check out my online course, Pathway to Forever. It will help you build clarity and alignment before you say, I do. Has this video got you thinking? Please give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on new videos as they drop. And until next time, take care, God bless you, and bye-bye.